The air in the crawlspace was thick, not just with the scent of damp earth and rotting wood, but with something heavy, something that felt like a secret holding its breath for 30 years. Detective Miller clicked his flashlight on, the beam cutting through the oppressive darkness. He wasn't looking for a body anymore. The case had been cold for decades. But as the light hit a corner of the foundation where the concrete seemed to shape lighter, he noticed a jagged edge of a plastic sheet protruding from the dirt. He reached out, his gloved fingers trembling slightly as he pulled. It didn't give. He dug deeper, the sound of his own frantic breathing echoing against the low ceiling. Then he saw it. A rusted padlock attached to a heavy wooden trapdoor buried 3 feet beneath the floorboards. The world outside was quiet, but inside this house, the screams of the past were about to become deafening. This wasn't just a discovery. It was the moment a cold case turned into a living nightmare. Welcome to Willow Creek, 1994. It was the kind of town where the most exciting thing that happened was the annual high school football rivalry. White picket fences, manicured lawns, and neighbors who knew your business before you did. At the heart of this idyllic setting lived the Richardson family. Thomas, a respected high school history teacher. His wife, Martha, who volunteered at the local library. And their 16-year-old daughter, Sarah. To the outside world, they were the blueprint of the American dream. But shadows always grow longest in the bright afternoon sun. Sarah was a straight-A student, a violinist, and a girl who never missed a curfew. Until one Tuesday in October. The day started like any other. The crisp autumn air carried the smell of burning leaves. Sarah left for school at 7:30 a.m., waving to Mrs. Gable next door. She never arrived at her first period chemistry class. By 4 p.m., Martha Richardson began to feel that cold, creeping dread that every parent fears. Calls to friends yielded nothing. Calls to the school confirmed her worst nightmare. Sarah was gone. The police initially treated it as a runaway case, the typical narrative for a teenager. But those who knew, Sarah knew better. She hadn't taken her violin. She hadn't taken her favorite clothes or her diary. She had simply vanished into the thin, chilly air of Willow Creek. The investigation in 1994 was frantic but flawed. Lead detective at the time, Robert Vance, focused heavily on the local troublemakers. They searched the woods, they dragged the lake, and they interrogated Sarah's boyfriend, a quiet boy named Leo. But there was no physical evidence, no blood, no struggle, no witnesses. The Richardsons were devastated, their home turning from a sanctuary into a hollow monument of grief. Thomas Richardson, the grieving father, became obsessed with finding his daughter, often seen wandering the streets late at night with a flashlight, calling her name. He was the one who organized the candlelight vigils. He was the one who appeared on the local news every anniversary, his voice breaking as he pleaded for her return. The community rallied around him, viewing him as a symbol of tragic resilience. Years turned into decades. The case gathered dust in the basement of the police station. Martha passed away in 2012, her heart literally broken, never knowing what happened to her only child. Thomas lived in that same house until his death in 2024. He never changed the locks. He never repainted Sarah's room. He remained the mourning hermit of Willow Creek. When the property was sold to a young couple looking to renovate, they noticed something strange about the floor plan. The dimensions of the living room didn't match the exterior foundation. They called in a structural engineer, who discovered a hidden void beneath the master bedroom. When the police returned to the Richardson home 30 years later, they weren't expecting a crime scene. They were expecting old pipes or a hidden safe. Instead, they found the trapdoor. As Detective Miller pried the wood open, the smell of chemical preservatives hit him like a physical blow. Below the house was a meticulously built underground chamber. It wasn't a basement. It was a bunker. And inside, the walls were lined with thousands of photographs of Sarah. Not just family photos, but candid shots taken through windows, from bushes, and from the back of a classroom. The realization was sickening. The predator wasn't a stranger in the woods. The predator was inside the house. In the center of the room stood a single metal bed frame and a desk with a diary that hadn't been written in by Sarah, but by Thomas. The entries detailed his protection of her, his belief that the world was too cruel for her beauty, and how he had saved her from the corruption of growing up. He described the perfect silence of the bunker. He wrote about the dinners he would carry down in secret while Martha was at the library. He documented Sarah's pleas to see her mother, her tears, and eventually, her silence. Forensic teams spent weeks dismantling the bunker. Beneath the concrete floor of the hidden chamber, they finally found her. She had been there the whole time, beneath the very feet of the mother who wept for her, and the town that searched for her. The autopsy revealed she had lived in that bunker for 3 years before her heart finally gave out from a lack of sunlight, nutrition, and psychological trauma. Thomas Richardson had played the role of the grieving father perfectly for 30 years, while literally walking over his daughter's secret grave every single day. He had used the town's sympathy as a shield. The deeper the police dug into the bunker, the more they found. There were recordings, cassette tapes labeled with dates. When they played them, the audio was bone-chilling. It wasn't the sound of a monster. It was the sound of a father calmly reading history books to a sobbing girl. He treated her imprisonment like a private classroom. He believed he was the only one who could truly educate her, the only one who could keep her pure. The psychological profile of Thomas Richardson began to emerge. A man who felt he was losing control of his perfect daughter as she entered womanhood and decided to stop time itself. The town of Willow Creek was shattered. Neighbors recalled how Thomas would join the search parties, how he would point the police toward false leads in the woods, effectively leading them away from his own foundation. Now they knew why he never sold the house. He couldn't leave. He was the jailer, the teacher, and the mourner all in one. He had lived for 30 years with the weight of her body beneath his floorboards, eating his meals, watching television, and sleeping just feet away from the evidence of his horrific crime. The case serves as a chilling reminder that the monsters we fear are rarely the shadows in the woods. They are often the ones who tuck us in at night. The Richardson house has since been demolished, but the ground remains scarred, a silent witness to a father's twisted love. Neighbors still report hearing a faint, rhythmic tapping coming from the empty lot at night, a ghostly echo of Sarah's desperate attempts to be heard. How could a man live a double life so convincingly for 3 decades? Was there someone else who knew? Forensic analysts found traces of Martha's DNA on the trapdoor handle, leading to a horrifying theory. Did she know? Or was she just another victim of his manipulation, perhaps suspecting something but too terrified to look? Some believe Martha might have suspected something, but the secrets she took to her grave remain as silent as the house itself. The discovery changed everything we knew about the Richardson family, turning a tragedy into a tale of calculated domestic horror. The sheer scale of the deception is unprecedented in criminal history. The bunker was equipped with a sophisticated ventilation system that led out through the chimney, disguised as wood smoke. Every detail was planned. Every lie was rehearsed. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was a crime of architecture. Thomas Richardson didn't just kidnap his daughter. He built a world where she didn't exist to anyone but him. As we look back at the footage of his interviews from the 90s, the chilling part isn't his sadness, it's how real it looks. He wasn't just lying to the world. He had convinced himself he was the hero of the story. What do you think was the ultimate breaking point for Thomas Richardson? Could this have been prevented if the police had searched the home more thoroughly in 1994? Does the possibility of Martha's involvement make this story even darker? Leave your theories in the comments below. We want to hear your perspective on this case that defied all logic. This has been another episode of Dark Case Files. If this story chilled you to the bone, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive into the world's most haunting mysteries. We have many more files to open, many more secrets to uncover. The truth is often buried deeper than we think, sometimes right beneath our feet. Stay vigilant, stay curious, and never stop looking closer. Thank you for watching.